boys and girls, forwards, midfielders, defenders, goalies, coaches, and yes, even referees. Welcome to the longest running soccer show in St. Louis history, STL United Soccer Sunday, presented by the Pasta House, a St. Louis tradition. Today's show is brought to you by our friend Mark Niemeyer at NGK Law Firm. Remember, everyone needs a lawyer at some time. Russell here today, joined by Edmundo, bringing us the tunes on the guitar. Our wizard reporter Josh McGee, producer extraordinaire Super Ted Williams, and here is your host, the irrepressible Tom Schwartz.
Thank you, Russell Blythe. I really dig being irrepressible, especially on my birthday.
Happy birthday,
happy birthday
to Tom. Happy birthday to Tom.
Birthdays were the worst days. Now we sip champagne when we're thirsty. Whoa, had a minor set fiasco shortly a few seconds ago. Nature struck.
Show itself off, Tom.
I'll take the breeze.
The timing was good.
I'll take the breeze over the props. So here we are, back yet again. Big news, we've hit over 500 likes, follows, whatever that is.
Thank you, everybody.
It took forever till we started doing this. And then since we started doing this, it's much better. A whole lot of stuff went on this week in the EPL. I mean, does anybody have anything they want to talk about that they need to talk about before we start talking about the EPL, the Premier League? Because I'm pretty much, other than Ted's segment and et cetera, I'm willing to talk about the Premier League all day long.
Well, there's a lot of news.
There's a lot of news.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, what do you got?
Well, there's the announcement, and Ted will probably cover this, about the Women's World Cup 2023 being awarded to Australia and New Zealand on Thursday.
Do we know anybody from New Zealand?
We might. We might.
G'day. Oh, look at how he kept the...
He's marked his territory.
I know. We'll have to look on the new feed to see if
it fits into the shot.
Yeah.
So Thursday was a real, red and green and white, yellow and gold and white day. I mean, Thursday was the day that the FIFA announced they had a council vote in the morning and announced that
You had a really good day on Thursday, didn't you? I did too.
New Zealand had been awarded the tournament and over Colombia, and then later in the day, of course, was the Premier League.
Right. I would just say, if we don't get to it, some other things that were going on. This was the last week of the Bundesliga, so the Bundesliga was the first back, and they were the first finished. And obviously, Munich clinched the title a few games ago, but Dortmund, Leipzig, and Borussia Mönchengladbach took the Champions League spots. Bayer Leverkusen missed it by 2 points.
Repeat that?
Dortmund, Leipzig, and Mönchengladbach will be joining Bayern Munich.
Mönchengladbach. We get to say that another time each week.
Exactly, and we'll be saying it in the Champions League next year.
That's awesome.
And then Dusseldorf and Paderborn are the teams being relegated right now. Werder Bremen, which is Josh Sargent's club, he scored yesterday in the club's final match. They're in a relegation playoff, so I'm hoping that they can pull through so Josh can stay up in the Bundesliga next year. I would say on the local front, real quick, St. Louis FC, it was announced what group they're going to be in when the USL comes back next month.
Oh.
They are with all the rivals, because it's geographically based. They are with Louisville City FC, Indy 11, and Sporting Kansas City 2. They're going to play each of those clubs 4 times, and the remaining fixtures will be against teams with a similar geographic region. They're not going to go too far out of the Midwest. And their opening match victory all the way back in March versus Miami FC will count towards their schedule. So they've already started off with a dub. So very cool, exciting. Obviously, a lot of rivalry matches coming up. And, hopefully they'll be able to maneuver that, because it's only 2 teams that will get out of that group into the playoffs. So, and there's 3 really good teams in that group. So it should be competitive.
Ed, how about you? You got anything big?
Anything big?
News?
Boy, no, I don't. I have nothing big to tell you. Life has been good. I'm in my second full week of being retired, which I heartily recommend to everybody. I must say, a couple times this week I had that feeling that we used to get when we were about 9 years old, 10 years old, and you realize it really was summer and tomorrow was not a school day. I did have that feeling, kid. Which was really worth the price of admission. So no, we're Kara and I are doing good, just enjoying life, living large, playing music, and Taking care of grandkids.
Playing our rhythms.
Yep.
Hey, play a little tune here
All right.
for us, and we're just going to segue, Josh, right into the women's segment, which Mr. Williams is in charge of.
Thank you.
Ted, did you get some?
Plastic surgery?
No, I was thinking about what do people get to make their lips bigger?
Collagen injection?
Collagen.
Yeah.
No. I got a Bridgestone injection.
Followed by a Slashinger 7.
Premium Bridgestone Tour Edition. Yep, I was had my first consecutive vacation days all year. Haven't really missed any days of work other than for a one-off day or an appointment, and it was good to be away. I pretty much tried to shut it down. I have a few tasks each week that are time sensitive that I have to do from home, but other than that, I kind of just relaxed. And my big home project was scraping my deck and putting a fresh coat of this sealer paint that I've used on it about 10 years ago. That's done a really good job for me.
What's the brand?
Fills the cracks. It's Behr. It's a Behr brand.
Rich Bear.
Behr.
Yep, it's his.
I decided, and as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to go in the house and get. We have to start plugging products we like. TheraWorks. Have you ever heard of TheraWorks? Cramp. Oh my God, it got me through this week. It's a great product.
Yeah, it's Behr Deck Restore.
Behr, gotta love the Bears.
Really, the only places that needed attention were the ones that are getting the most UV rays, and it's classic. The sun just beats the heck out of wood and materials like that.
So you decided to play golf.
I got that done, and as you guys know, I usually go on a golf trip somewhere between May and July, and that's been postponed for various reasons. And if our buddy Chris Ducar could have popped out from Chapel Hill, we would have had a little mini version here. But they opened up their athletic offices for the first time this past week, and he was compelled to be there. And ironically, he was one of the only people that showed up on Monday. Everybody else just continued to work from home because the athletes aren't back yet.
Right.
But anyway, he made the right decision for himself and his profession and his family. So anyway, it was a good time. My other buddy joined us on Friday, and other than the ball hitting me in the face, it was a lot of fun.
What course were you playing?
We played Gateway National, which is where Jay Randolph Jr. is the golf ambassador. That course is in great shape. And then Ann Breyer over in Waterloo. So arguably the two best public courses in the area. Great layouts, great condition.
Hey, quick shout out to Jim Leaker. Our pal was in last week, and also Tom Newell checking us out. Thanks, boys.
All right, so women's soccer, Russell hit on it. Big news. The combined New Zealand-Australia Women's World Cup bid for 2023 was awarded. I'm going. I've never traveled internationally beyond Mexico or Canada, but I'm going. I mean, I've told Leslie, I go, we're going. And, we'll make plans between now and then, start checking out the best way. I'll consult with my friend Russell, ideas that he might have.
Wait, your friend Russell? He's your colleague. I don't know about friend.
Well, now he's his friend. Trust me. He's his best friend.
Russell's family.
I'll talk to my brother about renting his room out.
There's probably a barn out in the hinterlands.
Oh,
that
he's got plenty of barn.
Sleep in the loft.
He's got plenty of barn.
Anyway, it's exciting. Australia women's soccer. There's probably, what do you say, Russell? About 10 Aussie players playing in Europe right now. Most of the players from Australia have vacated the NWSL for a variety of reasons, and a lot of them are playing in Germany and the English.
I think there's probably more than 10. I mean, you might see 10 national team players playing in Europe, but there's a whole bunch of players below that level as well.
So, to me, it's the perfect place to host it at the moment that we're in. It's a growing federation, and gosh, that region has handled this pandemic
Sorry.
so well.
Yeah.
So
And obviously, one of the faces of the women's game, Sam Kerr.
oh yeah,
The opportunity for her to be the
she'll,
basket.
she'll be the poster child for this.
Whack,
event.
whack, whack.
Exactly.
We're going to have constant interruptions today because my good friend Alistair tells me, if you're watching it, let me know if this fakes it.
Up a little bit.
Up a little bit.
That's good.
Can you see it?
Uh-huh.
Happy birthday from Alistair, the King Mole. I love it. Boy, that is a good look on me. I'm
That
going to
is.
scare that. Keep
Yeah.
talking, Ted. We'll
Is
just,
that the,
no
is
offense.
that the Zaz uniform?
Yeah. This dude is, he is a trip. He is a trip.
So
All right.
Ted, the NWSL Challenge Cup kicked off yesterday.
Right.
Match on CBS.
Yeah.
Looked pretty good to me.
You know what?
Enjoyed
It ended up great. You know, the first half there was a lot of rust.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've talked about Lynn Williams here in the past. Lynn Williams is so fast. She is fast on fast, okay? Her finishing skills have left something to be desired. She would have been on the World Cup team in France if her finishing skills were better, because she is a problem. And I was exchanging texts with my buddy Dan Lauletta during the match, and I said there's about 20 minutes left, and I said, just a reminder, Lynn Williams is still really fast. And she wore our friend Becky and Emily Mangus and the rest of those backs from Portland. She wore them out.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, on that cross,
Yeah.
they didn't have any more hops.
Yeah.
They jumped, but they didn't get high enough to clear it. And Lynn was there, and she still had the hops. She is a jackrabbit.
And the cross was perfect.
Oh, it was. And ironically, okay, the young lady that made the cross, Haley Mace. Haley Mace was, if she wasn't the top draft pick, she was top 3 the prior, not last year. Yeah, it was last season. Decided not to play in the league because she was one of 3 top players that was drafted by the New Jersey Sky Blue Club, which was in just disarray. They were a mess on and off the field. And these players said, we're not going there.
Yeah.
They went to Europe. So Haley, I think, went to Germany. And top player at UCLA, played kind of like Crystal Dunn, played all the positions, was a defender, midfielder, attacking player. But I say, ironic, weird, Allie Watt had subbed on about 5 minutes earlier. Her pro debut goes down. Something looked like something with her knee. I mean,
Yeah.
female soccer players and knee injuries are just, gosh, man, it's crazy. So Ali Watt goes down, and like 5 minutes later, in fact, Jen Hilder said, I don't think I had a chance to let you know that Ali Watt had entered the game, but you know now, because she made the cross and Lynn Williams headed it in. Portland didn't play poorly. They missed Tobin Heath. They also miss Emily Rasso, Aussie, who isn't with them anymore. Another blazer. She's just a blazing forward. But Becky acclimated well with her team. Her and Emily Mangus are a great pair of defenders. But there's nobody in the league, probably nobody in the world that can keep up with Lynn Williams' pace.
I think that's what kind of stood out to me was even when the technique and the finishing and the balls weren't going on from the first half on, you just tell speed was going to be the factor in that match. And everybody looked fit and everybody looked up to speed up to that point. And again, the combination you saw Lynn Williams, you see Crystal Dunn, the pace that North Carolina are able to go at.
And guys, that was without Jessica McDonald.
Yeah.
She's got a twinged hamstring. Lynn Williams and Jess McDonald are like this.
Yeah.
They are partners. They are friends. And they have great chemistry. And there was one time when Lynn had a breakout and she had her teammate to the left, and she should have passed it because she probably would have got the ball back. That's what you have to remember as an attacking player. I know you want to finish, but sometimes that first pass is the one to make, and then you run to space and you get the ball back.
Raheem Sterling should have won that.
So for a first team sport launch, national television, if people tuned in for the end of it, they saw a great finish. It was very exciting. So then there was another match last night, And there's a variety of ways you can watch these matches that are not nationally televised. You can subscribe to CBS All Access, which you can get all your favorite crime dramas and everything with that. For now, I signed up for a 7-day. I also tried to use a VPN and act like I was overseas and watch it on Twitch. And for whatever reason, the VPN I chose didn't work.
Did you type with umlauts and stuff? Just to give
I
it
was
more-
trying to act like I was Russell.
Right.
And it didn't work.
Good eye, Mike. No,
So
I
anyway,
always-
I ended up watching on CBS All Access, and that match was a good one. Arguably the 4 best teams played yesterday. Last night's match was Chicago Red Stars, who has Julie Ertz, who was the U.S. Women's Player of the Year. Alyssa Motts from St. Louis, who tragically injured her knee again 2 years in a row, ACL. I'm not sure. I never did hear if it was the same knee or not. But she's 30. Well, she's going to be 30. She's got to be thinking, what do I want to do this again?
Hey, Jim.
No, doesn't want to do the knee again.
Right.
No, but she doesn't.
No,
Does she
I'm
want
with
to do
you.
the rehab again?
Yeah.
But she was on the show with us. I think, Josh, you were there that day.
Mm-hmm.
Rory Dames, the coach, loves her. And the more important thing is Rory Dames' daughter adores Alyssa Motts. And she even said, I go, how's your relationship with Rory? She goes, it's okay. We butt heads every once in a while, but his daughter loves him. That's what she said. It was pretty fun. So,
And they, of course, went up against the Spirit, who had
yeah, the
Rose
Spirit
Lavelle.
has Rose Lavelle, and they have a bunch of young, talented players. Ashley Hatch from BYU, she could be a national teamer. And I'd love to have Latko Antonovsky with us right now, because he's probably just a ruler. Because there was a lot of young players that excelled yesterday. So the key play in the Red Stars Spirit match was a gaff by Alyssa Nair, the U.S. Women's National Team goalkeeper. She at times in the league has just not been sharp. And there was a lot of concern. I think I expressed it on the studio show last year as we entered into France. Say, Alyssa Nair is a wild card. And she came up huge. Last night she would be the first to admit it was a bad back pass, but she didn't handle it well. On the other hand, did you guys see how LeBay handled a bad back pass? She made this dance move to basically receive the ball on her right foot and swing it around the back of her left foot in just one motion to just deke the heck out of the attacker. And just really like whoop, like she had done it a million times. It was cool.
As long as it worked, it was cool.
Right. So Rose Lavelle scores for Washington early. Is it 1-0 at the half, right?
Yeah.
And then
Who scored for the Red Stars?
Red Stars was Morgan Bryan, who's now Gouter. Can't think of how to pronounce her last name. And then the game winner for the Spirit was Ashley Hatch on the gaff, right? So Red Stars are playing catch up. It was 2-0, right? It was 2-0 because Ashley Hatch scored very early in the second half. Bottom line is, the women's game is back. Go to nwslsoccer.com to check out the schedule. And there will be matches on Tuesday, or a match on Tuesday. I can't remember how many, but check the schedule. There's a lot of women's soccer that's going to be on, and there's a variety of ways to watch it. But keep in mind, you may need to set up a Twitch account at some point during this month.
Twitch account.
And assume a foreign identity.
And a VPN.
So are there going to be a few more games on Big CBS on weekends?
Yes, I believe. And then the knockout rounds will be on either CBS Sports Network or Big CBS.
I would hope so. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, Russell.
All right. So get a little
What
bit
time
of
is it?
It's time for you to do my bongs for me.
Oh,
Bongs.
I'll do your bongs. Bong.
You have to go in the house and get it.
Bong. Bong.
And now,
Score is brought to you by Tango in St. Louis. Tango in the time of coronavirus is taking an extended break. Tango dancing exploded in growth in Argentina in the late 80s and 90s after the rule of the military junta ended. During military rule, milongas, along with other social gatherings, have been banned and tango had gone underground. Today there are vibrant tango communities, currently paused of course, not only in Argentina but in many cities around the globe. And now the scores at 2:50 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. English Premier League from earlier this week. Tuesday, Leicester City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2, West Ham United 0. On Wednesday was Norwich City 0, Everton 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Bournemouth 0, Newcastle United 1, Aston Villa 1, Manchester United 3, Sheffield United 0, Liverpool 4, Crystal Palace 0. And on Thursday was Southampton 0, Arsenal 2, Burnley 1, Watford 0, and Chelsea 2, Manchester City 1. The 32nd round began yesterday. That was Aston Villa 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Today, later, in about half an hour, it's Watford against Southampton. There are 8 more games later this week, culminating with Manchester City hosting newly crowned champions Liverpool on Thursday. FA Cup quarterfinals. Yesterday, Norwich City 1, Manchester United 2. Earlier today, it was Sheffield United 1, Arsenal 2 in extra time. Yes?
Yep.
Beginning right now, it's Leicester City against Chelsea. Later today, Newcastle United against Manchester City. And then moving on to the German Bundesliga. The final round played simultaneously yesterday. All games. Augsburg 1, Leipzig 2, Bayer Leverkusen 1, Mainz 0, Borussia Dortmund 0, Hoffenheim 4, Borussia Mönchengladbach 2, Hertha Berlin 1, with substitute Vedad Ibisevic scoring for Hertha. Eintracht Frankfurt 2, Paderborn 2. I think I said that wrong. Eintracht Frankfurt 3, Paderborn 2. Freiburg
Come on,
4,
Russell.
Schalke 0. Union Berlin 3, Düsseldorf 0. Werder Bremen 6, Cologne 1. Wolfsburg 0, Bayern Munich 4. Unfortunately, Werder Bremen's thumping win did not help them out much. Left them in the relegation playoff. And we've already heard from Josh what the situation there is. I just add that the Europa League qualifiers are Bayer Leverkusen and Hoffenheim. And finally, the NWSL Challenge Cup. Yesterday, as we heard, North Carolina Courage 2, Portland Thorns 1, Chicago Red Stars 1, Washington Spirit 2, and that concludes the score report brought to you by Tango in St. Louis.
Wait a minute. We're not getting the New Zealand pro basketball?
You don't want
Deal?
Well, if you want to add basketball scores, we can do that. Have you watched any games?
No, I haven't had a chance.
Okay, well,
I'm
as soon as
sorry.
you watch a game.
Don't lay it off on me.
And that concludes the score report on New Zealand basketball.
So let's talk a little about Liverpool, huh?
Yeah.
They didn't do anything this week.
What happened?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Russell, you guys had to wait a little bit. Didn't start off the best of ways. So Liverpool came back into the restart with a 0-0 draw versus their rivals Everton at Peterson Park.
Yeah.
After they had to change in a parking lot. I really enjoyed. And obviously, it was a tough match. They tried to get back into it. They just didn't look themselves. Salah didn't play. Robertson didn't play. It was just kind of a
Minor niggles. Yeah,
Correct.
I think for me, this demonstrates one of the issues that Liverpool has is when they've got their first team on the field, they're fluid, they play fantastically. When they have to slot in 3 or 4 other players, it doesn't quite go as well.
Right. So
No, okay, you're also on Everton's field. It's not as large as Anfield.
Correct.
You have to deal with that. And Everton are playing pretty well right now.
exactly. So they were able to win midweek, like you said. But Liverpool came back then midweek against Crystal Palace. Salah came back. Robertson came back. And, I mean, every one of those goals that they scored in that 4-0 victory were just stunning. It was either a stunning strike like Alexander-Arnold's free kick or somebody's playing a magnificent through ball, Salah's through ball to Mane for the final goal. It was just a masterclass performance. It's like they never left at that point in that match. I mean, they just...
Yeah, that was a stunning performance because I think there was some expectation that Crystal Palace was going to be difficult.
Correct.
And indeed they ended up rolling them over.
Agreed. So that win at that point put them 2 points from the title. 2 points of which, like in baseball, you don't have to win your games. If the other teams help you out and lose their games, you can make up that difference. Or draw. So came Thursday time for the Chelsea-Manchester City match. Man City needed to win to keep the mathematics alive, to keep them alive for the title. So they need a little help from Chelsea, who have some experience in helping other teams win titles when they're not winning them themselves. And just a thrilling match from a Liverpool standpoint. neutral standpoint, Chelsea fan standpoint, only not Manchester City. So the exciting thing was, and I'm going to segue a little bit into Chelsea here because their story is involved in this as well. Chelsea, as we noted maybe on Sunday, unless it would thankfully was kept off the air, my outburst, when Aston Villa scored and took the lead in that match on Sunday. Well, Chelsea came out in the second half, still weren't playing well. So who do they go to? They go to Captain America, Christian Pulisic, off the bench. And he scores within 5 minutes of coming on to tie the match, and then Giroud would score the winner, and Chelsea would win that match. Using that momentum into Thursday, Pulisic starts against City, and the match is pretty even for the first 20 or so minutes, and then another defensive mix-up, not so much a back pass, but a side pass between two City guys. Nobody really claimed it. And
Unbelievable.
Pulisic, like a bolt from blue, just...
Don't you think so much like the good poachers, I mean, they just have an instinct for scoring.
Well, not only that, his positioning, waiting for that mix-up was perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
He was able to pounce on the mistake.
I wonder if he observed something.
Well, it's off a corner kick, right? The corner kick is cleared, so you're taught, to get out of your box, to push up, push back on the defense. He is the only one, really like going forward, and as soon as that mistake happens, pounces on it, beats one defender, then beats the other with the dribble move, and then was able to a really tough finish, into the corner of the net to take the 1-0 lead. So it was just an amazing,
Fantastic
sequence.
goal.
You see his natural ability, you see his poaching instincts, and he was able to get that goal. And then into the second half, again, the game continues to pick up, and you get Kevin De Bruyne with his free kick. That he was just, again, another free kick, just like
Free kick.
Alexander-Arnold's was just fantastic to tie the match up. And then in the second half, once substitutes had been made, Chelsea had two sequences where one of them was Pulisic, where he had beaten the goalkeeper, but he was at a tough angle, so he puts the ball towards the net. It's going almost over the line, and Kyle Walker comes in and kicks it right off the line. Then another sequence where the ball's in the box, a Tammy Abraham shot had been stopped, ball bouncing around. Chelsea cannot find a way to get it over the line, and just the frustration is mounting. But then VAR is called in. Why is VAR called in? When you look at the replay, clearly Fernandinho swatted it with his left hand off the line. Chelsea get a penalty. Fernandinho gets a red card, and Chelsea convert and take the lead 2-1, and they're able to hold on
against 10 men.
Against 10 men, and pick up the much needed 3 points on their end. But the more important thing for the league was it clinched the first ever English Premier League title for Liverpool, the first league title in 30 years.
First league title in 30 years, and the 19th title overall, top level, and
puts them one behind
Manchester United, with some hopes in the next couple of years of catching up.
So obviously, after the match, they're trying to get a hold of players, see wherever they are. They get a hold of Jurgen Klopp, and just seeing Klopp's interviews afterwards, it's like you can't not help but love this guy, and you can see why players want to play for him. He was very emotional, understood the situation, understood what it meant for not just the team, but for the city, all these other different things. You could see, even though people probably shouldn't be doing it, the mass celebrations at Anfield and in the streets and whatever, but it's just the
city, the club, and the police came out later with a statement. You got to rein this in because we're still in the midst of a spike.
You got to be careful. But can you blame them?
No,
I mean, it's such a historic accomplishment. It was a fantastic season that's not over yet, but this was the goal. I mean, you win the Champions League last year, and anybody can talk about well, this is great, but we want the Premier League.
It's as I said at the beginning of the season, we want things to be reversed here from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether Man City can go on and win the Champions League, we don't know yet. But,
right.
But
really, they got extra motivation now.
They've got extra motivation, and the way Liverpool fans want it was they want to win the league. That's the crucial thing that's been missing for 30 years.
I got a bone to pick with you.
I knew you were going to have a bone to pick with me.
Right.
Before you get into the bone, I think one of the beautiful things that come out on social media since this has been that video that the club put together to You'll Never Walk Alone. The images are just stunning. It's really incredibly moving.
How good it is that Alex Webster sent it to me.
He sent it to me as well. I'd already seen it, but yes. Alex Weber.
Whatever his name is, Alex.
Yeah, so it came from an
the
Arsenal fan.
The guy who quit on us. That's how I look at him.
So an Arsenal fan was sharing it with us.
Yeah, that's how good it was.
It just speaks to
I need to
the
think
power
about
of
an
that.
Arsenal fan.
But I mean, even non-soccer people, when I posted that to my timeline, non-soccer people responded to it.
The small thing I would say was before, just going back to the match on Wednesday, that Liverpool had, hearing You Never Walk Alone just as itself, without the fans, I'm just thinking to myself, this is going to be nice when they win it, but man, it's just this current situation. They would properly deserve to have celebrated with their fans in a mass way.
Yeah, so there has to be another title in other words.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
Uh-oh. It's that time, Russell. I think it's your turn to be the... Oh, no, Josh, it's your turn.
But
You know what today is?
You have a bone to pick with me.
Oh, the bone to pick with you. Okay, yeah, right. I have a bone to pick with you. So the bone I have to pick with you is... before I'm going to pick the bone, I'm going to say what a great job you did last week when you did this camera move and you just held the Liverpool flag totally to it. I dug that a lot. But the bone I have to pick with you.
Tell us, Tom, what is that
Okay,
bone?
thank
Are you
you
get
very
to that
much.
bone, or is it going to die of starvation?
It's a chicken bone. Cut in my throat. 30 years. This is what he posts on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
30 years of misery. Doesn't mention the years he spent with us. Maybe that's part of the misery. Doesn't mention Tango, where he's always dancing around with these hot babes. None of that stuff.
Trips to Italy.
The constant trips to Italy. He had to learn to speak Italian.
Right.
30 years of misery? Come on, man.
Tom, I don't know what you're talking about.
Let's move on to other things. So, okay, I'm going to
On to
introduce.
something else.
Yeah.
No, one of those points of misery
What
happened
time?
in Italy
Oh yeah.
in 2014.
Why are
when
you
the
pointing
infamous-
at me
when
like
the
that?
infamous slip happened and Chelsea won the title.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
was
darn.
in an Irish bar, actually run by an Irishman,
Yeah.
in Florence, watching that game.
Yeah.
It's indelibly inscribed.
Is he going to
in my
shut up
brain.
today?
I don't know. We can keep
Are
talking
you
about the
getting
slipper.
more? You're going to talk about
Let
some
the guy
sheep?
enjoy the greatest week of his life.
All right. It's not quite like the Cubs winning the World Series, but I mean, we're gonna have to deal with this for a while.
It'd be like
And I
the
also
news.
pointed out to people
Oh,
who
God.
say, look, I've been a fan since 1974. There were some darn good years between 74.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'm not
shut
really
up.
complaining that much.
So you agree with me then? That was pretty weak due to misery. Oh my God.
There's a little bit of
That'd be like Jack Heather saying, "Oh, I've had 30 years of, or however many you guys have been married, of misery." And I'm like, you know what I do? I just strangle him.
it was slightly hyperbolic, I'll admit.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to our guest, my dear friend, Teresa Heath, who is going to explain to all of our multitudes of viewers.
All
Yes.
All
six
the
of
annual
them.
seminar.
Oh,
Six.
Five, sorry,
Oh,
Teresa.
shoot, I wish you were 6.
We got
Okay.
like
Hundreds.
11 new follows on our. I mean, that's a huge number for us. We were at 500 for 20 years. Okay, at any rate, Teresa,
Yes.
explain to all these my friends, why today, my birthday, June 28th, is the perfect day.
Well, Tom, I've been thinking about this.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. And I was thinking, I have been explaining this to Tom for so many years
Oh no,
I've even
that
heard
I'm
it.
curious
I have no
if
idea.
Tom can remember why
No.
6.
Teresa.
Is it okay?
Teresa.
I thought I was. See, now, I
If
feel
I
like
could do that, I wouldn't bother to have
I
you
must
in.
not be a good math teacher,
perfect-
is what
it's
I'm
the
trying to
perfect-
say.
it's
It was
the
a good
perfect
question.
Thursday.
Don't you think it was a
Mathematician
okay,
to
well, anyway,
mathematician.
we will talk about it. Well, 628. 6 and 28 are both perfect numbers. And the reason that they are perfect numbers is that the sum of their proper factors equal the number. So let me just explain that.
Yeah.
6, the proper factors of 6 are 1, 2, and 3, meaning they divide into 6 evenly with no remainder. And if you add 1 plus 2 plus 3, what do you get?
6.
Okay.
Woo!
And
First part of the-
28, let's go with 28
All right,
now.
28.
Now you get the
28,
double
what
digits.
are the
Slow down.
I know. Now you gotta do a little
Keep
extra
practicing
math
now.
here. Write it down. What are the proper factors, which are 1, 2, 4, 7, and 14.
Oh,
If you add
it's the
those
14 that gets me all
together,
the time.
it adds up to what?
28.
And the next one, which isn't relevant right now, but is 496. So there's an infinite number of perfect numbers.
And
but
you can never get to that on a birthday.
Well, that's my point. That is going to be my
Tom,
point.
don't give up.
We-
Come on.
Technology
We
needs
can do
to
it,
be
you know.
advanced,
Yeah.
Ted
every year.
Williams can't. His
Well,
head's
let's- and let's-
out in Arizona, getting ready for it.
It's a cryotherapy.
Well, there's a couple other reasons why this is a totally cool day. Is we also call it double Pi Day, Because
Double
pi
pi.
we know is 314, and if you double it's 3.14, but we're gonna
No.
just feel we're
It's
playing
center,
with
it's
it.
center.
We're playing
Right,
with
this
it. We're
we're
playing
having
with it.
fun.
Right, so 314 doubled is what? 628.
628.
No
It's really
way.
cool. And
Double
one more
pi.
thing to just note is
Another
what is the area code for many people in St. Louis?
314.
314.
Oh, I like those T-shirts
Oh
that
my
just have
goodness.
314.
Yeah, 314. I mean, this is like a really cool mathematical city to live in. Don't you think?
I do.
And this is the perfect day.
This is the perfect
the
day.
perfect
It's a
day.
tad warm.
So
Okay.
how do we resolve the conflict that I think many of us in this immediate area could have noticed? That conflict is on a perfect day. And 628 every year is a perfect day.
For sure, yeah.
How do we resolve then this man on a perfect
Oh,
day?
wait.
Ooh,
Whoa.
Hey,
Whoa.
below.
How
A
do we-
little bit early. You can bring that up at the eulogy. That is so hurtful.
Well, so that's he has to wait for 300 years for that. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I
smart
think
ass.
I have answered my own question.
Oh, see.
Because while Tom has, I think all of us know Tom has many imperfections.
Yes.
He has succeeded in fathering two perfectly gorgeous daughters, marrying the perfect woman, and
Yeah, but other than that, how'd I do?
Now is grandfathering
Jeez.
a perfect grandchild.
Is this
And
now
has
the
a
roast
kick-ass
of Tom
back
Schwartz?
porch.
And the back porch is pretty good.
Well, just this
And
whole
spouses.
situation,
Oh my goodness, okay.
the whole situation of making fun of me on my birthday. You know, birthdays were the worst days.
I heard that.
And you know what we do now?
Now we celebrate by drinking champagne.
We sip champagne when we're thirsty.
See, well, Tom, I can believe that today is the perfect day because my brother's birthday is tomorrow. So that must be the
So he's
imperfect day.
nearly perfect,
Yeah.
but not.
So near, but yet so
Yeah,
far.
Correct.
29 is a prime number.
it's a prime
Oh,
number.
It is.
I don't want to give him any
Okay,
ammo.
right.
So, Teresa,
Yes.
since we have you here, does anybody have any questions? I don't know. I understand
please,
her perfectly.
No.
Plus, I'll just invite her again to wherever we are next year
Good.
to explain it to me.
Nice.
Apparently, you have become a water person.
Oh my goodness, we've come here to the shores
Dome.
dome. Yeah. Oh my gosh, with all the fountains, and they're not playing right now.
Plus, I'm a czar. You remember
Oh,
that,
you're
right?
a czar.
Yeah,
all
and
right.
you're only
I'm
married to a co-czar.
I'm married to a
Yeah,
co-czar, and
but
I'm a co-czarina. So there
I've
you
never
go.
seen Jack in an outfit
No,
like this.
he needs an outfit.
He needs an
I
outfit
think he
like
needs
that.
one. But what would a co-czar one look like? I don't know.
He'd probably have more lapel stuff.
Maybe,
Epaulets.
or less. See, I think on your coat. I don't know. But we now have our own fountain in the backyard because actually Jack's the one who's really been working on it, and it
Well,
is good.
sure,
It
but
is-
somebody has to direct
Well,
the work.
well, yeah, of course. Oh, well, I was very direct.
Any old schlub can do the work.
I was very
But
direct.
you have to have that
I had the drive. I will say I had the drive.
There's,
I
you
will
know,
say
there's
that.
maximum required to figure out the fluid dynamics that's required. So, is it laminar? Is it turbulent? You know, how's it going to go?
Yep, exactly.
Right, the viscosity of it,
gotta
you know,
figure
all
that
those
out.
things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna bleed or what? I mean, I have blood plenty. By the way, I'm getting inundated with, which is a really good thing, with Martin Hazel. I don't know how you pronounce your last name, but I love you. He lives in outside of Prague,
Oh.
married to a beautiful woman and about to be a father. It's a very
Oh,
good thing.
bravo, well played.
So what I was trying
Today,
to do
hopefully
is,
today on the perfect day.
I think I have I've been thinking.
And if
Keep
it's
talking,
intended.
Teresa. What have you learned in this process?
About
The
fountains.
water, the fountain.
Oh, the
not
fountain.
knowing me.
Okay, now I know. Oh, well, just the cool idea of putting a fountain together on your own.
Yeah.
You know, with buying the rocks
Yeah.
and just layering the rocks and having it just be beautiful and just making it up yourself.
Very zen.
Oh my, it is very zen, and having it fit perfectly in the spot in your backyard or whatever.
And are you
place
Are you
It's
plugged in?
working.
now?
It's
All right.
plugged in.
I saw
and
the.
you got the water going into the. There's a lot of things to
Do
think
we
about.
have
By the
fish
way,
in this?
not doing fish.
pond?
Not doing fish.
They,
Doing
they're,
water lilies or any water
No,
plants?
it's very small. We have a tiny backyard. I would describe it as tiny. So we really couldn't do anything
see.
very
Well,
massive.
that's okay.
But we're providing water for birds. We have a bird feeder next to it, a cardinal bird feeder. since we can't watch the other Cardinals, we're watching our backyard Cardinals.
This is for you. Now you know that's a Waterman's song right there.
Good, yeah.
I'm trying to get
I love
Ed to
it.
do that, but he just won't. He doesn't
The
have a
sax won't
35.
play it.
He won't. The 35 people, that required won't come in.
I'm working
Too
on
bad, but
I'm working
okay.
on former President Clinton to show up.
Oh.
Ah,
That would be good.
The Waterhead no have enemy.
Yeah. The
Oh, on the
The
sax?
The sax.
Do you like Ted's collagen look? I mean,
By Rich to
did you hear? You didn't hear the story, did you? This is a day for me to share tragedies of my friends. Russell's years of misery, Ted's inexpert dodging ability when it comes to golf.
Oh, well, I have to tell you, I ran into, this is really an embarrassing thing. I have a bruise. I literally ran into a bar on a playground. That's really sad. No, we were with our grandkids, and I'm watching the grandkids, and just, so I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you.
Well,
Yeah.
Teresa,
Yes.
it's time for our EPL, English Premier League, ongoing discussion. You are welcome to stay. You are welcome to switch places with your husband. You are welcome to do whatever you want.
Thank you
But
very much.
right
Now,
now,
next year, though, you've got to know, I'm asking you about 6. You've got to be able to explain why 6
Russell,
is pride.
Russell
Next year.
Beal. Oh, absolutely.
Now he's got
Just telling you.
somewhere.
That's
Now he's got somewhere where he can brush up on it. On the Ethernet.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Teresa.
Happy birthday. Happy perfect birthday.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's talk a little Premier League. Why is that thing not doing
which
it?
way you go?
Oh, I'm going to the wrong. Sorry.
Tying us
It's
in
like the
knots.
cha-cha slide.
Right.
There you go.
Let's see if we can get Russell and Josh. Can we get
I am.
in one shot?
I'm in it.
Just, you see us looking down, we're slightly
Right.
distracted.
Russell may be Ted's best friend, but he's also my best friend because he has the Chelsea game on
Oh,
currently.
who they playing?
They're playing Leicester City in the FA
It's
Cup.
the FA Cup tie.
Pulisic's starting again. I didn't think he would because Chelsea have a match on Wednesday at West Ham that they in the Premier League, but
He may not play the full game.
correct. This is a pretty strong line that they put out. So
I guess they want to win.
correct.
Premier
up,
League,
Tom?
what do you want to know?
Well, it's just. I mean,
We've
it's
been
been
standing
great.
exciting stuff is
It
around
was
who's
so
gonna-
great. It's so weird because I'm retired now, well virtually, and so I can watch games in the middle of the day. And are you guys taking off? All right. Let's see. It's okay. We've broken the third wall a long ago. See you, Czar.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Okay.
I saw a
Take
gift from
care,
me. I
take
like
care.
that.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah,
Take care.
happy
Don't-
birthday.
Take care.
Thanks for the explanation again.
Thanks.
Sure.
We'll
See you next
year.
See you next year.
So, go ahead.
Well, I was just to say, the Chelsea win, the Liverpool clinching the title obviously is the big story, but the next one is obviously the Chelsea wins and the continued development of Pulisic. Now that he's gotten these opportunities, he's back, he's fully healthy. Lampard has spoken glowingly about him over these past few days. It really encourages me because we've talked about Chelsea are bringing in 2 studs on the offensive end for next season. Hakim Ziyech from Ajax and Timo Werner from RB Leipzig.
Timo Werner.
So where does Pulisic fit in those plans? Well, if he keeps playing like this, he's going to slide in right next to him, and he's going to be part of that front 3 next year. So this is just all about submitting his place, obviously his development as a young player. So I'm encouraged by these developments that he's arguably Chelsea's best offensive player and one of their most important players.
So questions have been asked, where does this leave Tammy Abraham? And I mean, presumably Giroud may end up moving on after this
Right.
season.
It's strange that Giroud has gotten back-to-back starts. Now I've seen it because obviously, like in the City game especially, you're not going to have the ball as much. You need an outlet.
Yeah.
And
you
Giroud
need a target man.
is one of the more perfect outlets that we have. But in terms of natural ability, goal scoring ability, getting in behind defenders, that's Tammy to a T. But he has not gotten those opportunities yet. I guess the knock on him has been that consistency and going up against bigger clubs hasn't been his forte.
Typical for a young player.
Correct. So I'm hoping that, even with Timo coming in, he'll have his chances and he'll continue to develop. I don't want to see him back out somewhere else. Him and Mount especially, but other guys.
Right.
Reece James is in the lineup today for the FA Cup. I don't want to see these guys out on loan. They're ready to go. They're Premier League ready, or at least need to start their Premier League
They're
journey.
going to need depth anyway in the squad.
Agreed. But those wins, coupled with other results, is now we move our attention from the title, which has been decided, to the Champions League races. We talked about City. They're probably going to finish second. And we know, obviously, with their situation with the ban, they don't really have much to say in what's going down. Chelsea, with their wins, Leicester City have not won a Premier League match yet. They've drawn in both
And
of
they
their
haven't looked
matches.
very good either.
And now they're only 1 point ahead of Chelsea.
Wow.
So Chelsea can, in fact,
How many
jump
more
in.
games, Josh?
Russell, what are we at?
5,
6?
6 or 7, depending on who you are.
Okay, all right.
Varying teams.
Everything's still to be decided. God,
correct.
West Ham.
And then
We'll
you've
get
got
to that later.
you've got Wolves, who have won all 3 of their matches since coming back. They've looked great. We've talked about Adama Traore, guy who looks like a rugby player, a middle linebacker.
Right.
And Jimenez, who has scored, I think,
goals
in every match. He's on fire right now, and they've moved up into 5th place ahead of United, but that's because they played more matches.
They played one more game.
United, after that draw with Tottenham, then played Sheffield at home and completely dismantled them because, and I'm surprised we're still here today, Russell and Tom, because I thought the world was ending because Anthony Martial scored a hat trick.
I couldn't believe it.
And, I mean, they're all beautifully taking goals, technical finishes, and, I mean, he looked great.
On
Rashford
fire.
provided a couple assists for them, and with those two and Fernandes and
Pogba,
Pogba,
wow.
Playing well together. They're in a
Oh,
good position.
man.
I have no quips. I have no, jabs. This is a good-looking United team right now with the setup that they have.
Where
And
are they relative to Leicester?
relative to Leicester?
Catchable,
Probably-
you think?
Maybe, but obviously the big thing is within Chelsea. I believe it's 5 points right now that they're within Chelsea, and
So
obviously
that's
they're
6
right
now.
there with Wolves as well. But they've looked better, and I think with these this 4-headed monster that they can cook up in the offensive end could pose some problems. Looking at some of the other results again, like you said, Tom, on 2 sides. One side you got Tottenham, who didn't come out of the gates all firing on all cylinders against West Ham, but they eventually got an own goal which helped them out, and then Harry Kane scored after not looking so good the first couple of matches. But as you've mentioned, and this is the jersey waves behind you in the background, West Ham are in some deep
So
trouble.
before we move on, I mean, just point out,
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at things right now, things seem to be shaking out because there's now a 4-point gap between Man United and Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
And if Man City ends up not being able to play in the Champions League next year, you've got those you've got competition for that 5th spot between Wolves and Man United. I mean, Sheffield United were in the running, but they've had terrible.
Right.
They
runs
haven't
so far.
picked up
a
a win.
win at all. I mean, they got ripped off, of course.
If you had to choose, a knockout game between Wolves and City and United right now, you'd take United.
It'd be a tough game.
It'll be a fun
And
game.
a neutral side.
It'll be a fun game.
Yeah, and that'd be a fun
Who's
game.
got
Wouldn't
the
that
goal,
be
who's
cool?
got the goal difference advantage? Probably United does.
Probably.
Actually, it's the same goal difference, but
Wow.
United scored more goals.
Now, I will say, if I remember correctly, on the schedule side, both Wolves and United aren't playing any of the big 6.
No,
throughout the
United
rest
has
of
the
the-
easier run, and that's right.
Correct. So I think that we could see a photo finish in that regard. And again, with the city ban potentially being implemented, it does matter who finishes in 5th and who finishes in 6th,
Yeah.
because obviously those places will change when this ban gets implemented.
Anyway, back to West Ham and what's happening at the bottom. Yeah. I mean, Norwich is clearly gone, I think. I mean, it's just they're
It's
too
been
far
disappointing.
Hey Russell, let's hold the bottom for Ed's got we're jumping around today.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do now, Ed, play a little music. He wants to talk a little bit about baseball, and Jesus, I would watch baseball right now. That's how bad.
You would watch it over New Zealand basketball?
I'd watch it over CNN reporting of over New Zealand basketball. I'd watch. It's accessibility.
Yeah.
Baseball will be accessible, so all
Yes.
I got to do is turn on the TV and not work the computer. All things being equal, I'd watch.
I'm with you.
Yeah. What? Don't look at me like that.
No, I'm just waiting for you to
Oh.
make your point.
Well,
You're doing a good job.
I'm so.
Since there's no IMMB on TV, I mean.
Oh my!
Yeah,
That
I know.
would be the thing.
We'll be back.
That would
Then
be
we'll
the
be back.
thing.
We'll be back. Full
Yeah.
glory. Well, Tom asked me what I want to talk about, and the more I thought about it, the more I just want to make a comment, and I will defer to Mr. Williams across the room here, who is our real best baseball expert because of his many years of playing at the collegiate level. But it seems to me that two very closely related things have happened to what's going on in baseball right now, Major League Baseball. First, the players have let themselves get out-positioned by the ownership on that. I have not followed the contract negotiations all that closely, so I would just make the general statement, Ted, that both sides are partially at fault and both sides are partially in the right on what they're trying to do. But I would say that at the present time, the players are losing the battle in the PR arena, and they're coming off as whining about about the money, which when you look at what else is going on in our across our country at large, it's really hard to feel much pity for someone who makes their living by playing a game, and who many of whom have said repeatedly, "Oh, I love the game. I'd play it if they didn't pay me." Well, now they're going to pay you a prorated, reduced amount. You think you can eke it out on $525,000 a year? I mean, you got people who are doing all they can to keep body and soul together, and you're whining because you're only going to make $500,000? Really? How much sympathy am I supposed to have for a professional baseball player? I'll tell you what it is. It's like none. Understand that there are people out here that are not making much at all, who are going into debt, who are right now they're starting to bring in the court cases on ejecting patients, people for not making rent. There's going to be people homeless over this, and you're whining because you're only making $500,000 or $5 million a year. Get in touch with reality.
It's not a good look.
Hold on. Special shout out to Rose Kilgore and Jennifer Fisher-Tarjan. Jennifer.
Great basketball.
One of the best basketball players I ever
Great
played with.
basketball player. Although I did fake her out really bad.
Oh,
that's okay.
Shut up.
She got me back.
Yeah, I bet she got you back.
It's a bad look at, with everybody having their own social media platforms, it is really hard for the leadership of the Major League Baseball Players Association to rein that in. The original one was the pitcher from Tampa, Snell, right? He did his on Twitch. Okay, so this wasn't even a, quote, normal platform. He apparently has a bunch of followers that watch him play video games on Twitch, and he does this little sidelight monologue show, and that's where he went off on his rant. The baseball players' grand collective bargaining agreement that they've enjoyed for decades, and believe me, they are the model that all the other sports wanted to emulate when it came to guaranteed money, guaranteed contracts, is slowly eroding, and they know it. And they know that the owners are looking for every opportunity to grab back what they've given away in the past. With all that being said, there's a fine line. They need to rein their membership in and say, look, it is not serving us for you guys to be declaring your position. We will handle that in...
That's why you have a union. Your union is supposed to speak for
Right.
you.
And free speech, there is nothing that prevents those folks from doing it, but the Max Scherzers of the world, the Mike Trouts of the world need to use their leverage as superstars to rein those guys in and basically say, look, cut it out. We got this. Just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, and that's very hard.
Well,
Josh.
My 2 cents on it is that I definitely agree with the frustrations for both sides. If you think about it, the deal that we ended up with, the schedule that we're going to get, could have easily been implemented at the very beginning. They could have agreed to this, and we wouldn't have had to deal with all the negotiation things like that. They basically went around in circles. My thinking is, though, to defend the players to this point is, as much as it is about returning to play, and the possible concerns that they're putting themselves on the line by doing so, the owners won't have to go through the dangers that the players are going to have to go through. This is all about not just this year, but as you guys have talked about, collectively bargaining in the future. If they feel as though if they give in to these owners now, they will have no room, and they're just going to get hammered next time negotiations come around. And if you think about all the things that they've had to put in, but my thing with the owners is that the owners have come out, and there was a report that said basically almost a third of the league didn't even want to have a season that they just wanted to cut their losses and say we'll play again next year. They didn't want to deal with it. Then you had our own owner, Bill DeWitt, come out and say, oh, in baseball, we're not really making much money, when in fact it's the complete opposite. So I think there's a lot of bad faith negotiating. I do think on both sides. I understand the sentiment. Like, players at some point, you got to think, if you truly really want to come back, then you just have to understand we're not going to play as many games. And you think about those small market teams, like Cardinals. I think we're lucky to be, even though it's a smaller market, we're a pretty successful club.
Yeah.
But you think about, say, the Rays or,
or
Oakland or Kansas City. If they've played full salaries, they may not be around, in a few years. Like, they can't afford to take those economic losses. Will hurt a little bit more. So I understand that. But I think, again, this is all about the future. It's not really about this year. It's about next time the bargaining agreement is up, can the players, hold their own and not get completely bodied.
To your point about the timing, Josh, they could be the only game on TV right now. They
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
Really.
Every
They-
day.
Correct.
They could have been. They could have been out front. They were.
They had the most room to play with because they never had gotten started. We're going to get the NBA and the NHL back, and obviously they would have playoffs. It's not going to be the same, though. These are different formats. Baseball, it would have been natural. We just would have been having games. We had a season. Not much really would have changed except for the amount. But, as you said, we're still waiting.
Okay, hold on. We're going to try an experiment here. Tom Timmerman, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay,
Can you hear?
I have no idea until somebody monitors on Facebook whether we're gonna hear you.
Can you hear the birds, Tom?
I can hear birds. Yes, I can, Ted.
Then Facebook Live can hear you. So be careful.
I'll watch what I say.
How are
For
you,
once,
sir?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there used to be a radio show in town where they talked about soccer, and they'd have, like, George Messi would be a guest. I think they'd get Martin Tyler from time to time.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, it was a good show. I liked it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one time they had a trivia contest and some guy from UCLA came in, whooped up on everybody.
Well, you know what? I wish that show was still around. You guys should try to, like, find some tapes and just kind of copy that and see if you could, recreate that show, because it was pretty successful.
Well, maybe you could write an email to our boss over there, and because he doesn't seem to remember who we are. Hey Tom. This may or may not be working, so give it a shout. So tell us what's going on with the St. Louis MLS situation.
Well, they're building a stadium. They're doing, I think, behind the scenes on getting the organization together. I think they're not going to announce the team names until other teams that have already going to be expansion teams get their announcements out of the way. So they're kind of waiting on that. They've sold stadium naming rights and shirts rights and things like that. And it's just waiting now, to a time when they can do things and have a suitable celebration for it and not just put out a press release and go, yay, there's a name. So they want to try to be able to make something out of it, which obviously can't happen right now. I mean, they could do it on your patio, but, they could have 6 people.
No, we could have, if we fully extend the patio, we can have 12.
Oh!
So if when you join us, you want to bring your retinue, that would be great.
On my list of things to do is to go out and hire a retinue. So that's, I'm not sure where I can get one, if they have it at Home Depot or if I need to go to some smaller place. Retinues are us. But actually, I just consider you guys my retinue.
Wow.
Oh, well, thank you.
We're honored.
Hey, Tom, I would agree with you. I think in my heart, I feel as though the name and colors have been decided upon, and they're just waiting for a more public forum to make those announcements. But you came out over the weekend with a very compelling argument for what you think the name should be. Could you tell a little bit about, for those people who haven't read your article yet, what you wrote about?
Well, and this is nothing personal about this radio show in any way, but I really don't want a quote-unquote traditional soccer name, a United, a City, something like that. and I certainly don't want an FC, but I would advocate a classic St. Louis outdoor soccer name, which would be the St. Louis Star, to recall our NASL heritage. It was a team that played a lot of St. Louis players. It is a name that people can get around. It is not abstract. Yeah, I know what a star looks like. I don't know what a confluence looks like, or a legacy, or a heritage, or anything like that. It's a simple name. It's easy to say. It's easy to chant. You don't need to abbreviate it some way. There's the Stars. It's a simple, elegant name. It has a history. It's not cute. We're not trying to be, one of these things where, the St. Louis confluence, because we have the confluence of the rivers and we have the confluence of people. You don't need to explain your team nickname.
Right.
Your nickname. Whenever you get to that point where, it has this deep social symbolism, you're missing the point. You're trying too hard. And I would say against, what we think of from a traditional European soccer names, it's like, we're not European. We're American. This is how we do things. We fought a war with England. We don't have to bow to the Queen, and we don't have to, call fields pitches, and we don't have to, united on everything. We just don't have to do that. We are our own country.
Right, and that's basically
this is how we do things.
correct, and that's basically the makeup of the MLS, right? Over half you got the New England Revolution, Los Angeles Galaxy. It's the kind of the Americanized version combined with the European game. So I think, again, you bringing up the history of that name to the city, I think if they're going to go that route with a non-traditional football type name, that would obviously make the most sense.
The $64,000 question, Tom, is did you submit it to the group as a fan?
I did not.
Damn.
I don't know that I would be. I feel I was eligible to do it.
Well, it's too bad because probably no one else submitted it.
I've been pleased. The response to it. Some people have said, great idea. I love it. And others have said, failed team, failed league. Move on. We got to do something else. I don't say it was a failed team. It was a failed league. Every team in that league failed. It's our history. Unless you want to go back and call it, Stitchbear Fuller or Sullen City or something like that.
Kudos.
The French on your suits.
And there you have it right there. Kudos would be a fine name.
So, Hey Tom, I got to interrupt you because we have an actual comment on our Facebook Live commentary. Is that we have a bunch of Italian flags up. Do we have any thoughts on the Serie A? Do you have any thoughts on the Serie A?
It's a fine league. No, what kind of thoughts should I have on Serie A?
I'm just.
Is Lazio going to catch Juve? I guess that's the bottom line question.
I think the answer is no. He doesn't really have any.
I think the answer is no as well, despite beating, my Italian team, Fiorentina, yesterday.
No, I was talking about the answer to our Tom Newell's question about the Serie A. No, we don't have much. Sorry.
Hey, Tom, we found out over the weekend that St. Louis FC will be coming back. The groups that they've been put in with Louisville and Indy 11 and Sporting Kansas City. I just wanted to know about your thoughts about the team returning to play. There's been some rumors that the USL, some teams might be looking to having some fans in attendance. I didn't know if you have any thoughts as to what the process is going to be like for that league to be returning.
Yeah, it's weird. They're clearly a league that needs to have people in the stands to make money. There's obviously no TV or radio revenue for them, so they got to have people. I think recent history has shown, outdoor events you can be a lot more successful with in not having a spread on the virus than indoor events.
Oh.
So, if you had, 1,000 people spread out in the soccer park, would that work? Could you do that? What would the number be? I've had to think about the question, would I cover one? If they said, Tom, we need to go out and cover this soccer game, how would I do it? And I probably would feel better about sitting out in the stands than I would in the press box where we have 10 people jammed into a small area. I think that's doable. I mean, and it's a weird case where, you know, at a Cardinal game, 1,000 fans in a 40,000 seat stadium looks bad. You know, you put 1,000 fans, spread them out on the soccer park. That's only 1/5 of your normal crowd. You know, you might be able to get away with that.
I totally agree with that, Tom.
In the corner, but what was that?
I totally agree with that. I was watching the game the other day for Manchester United, right? And that place holds 75,000 people. You can't tell me you couldn't auction off 1,000 tickets for charity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it seems to me as everybody has sort of everybody's afraid of catching the disease, and rightfully so. But it's like a zero-sum kind of deal. You have these stadiums. We're just going to leave them empty? That doesn't make any
I
sense.
think that's a question for the next season,
Right.
not this season.
Well, maybe not this because people get pissed off about it
It's just
because
they're not-
rich
it's not
people.
quite ready.
Hey, Tom Timmerman wished me a happy birthday on Facebook.
I did do that.
You are
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Multitasking.
But one thing I'll say about St. Louis FC and their grouping is, I mean, it's hard to say what this year is going to look like because we don't have a lot to go on. That's a rough group. I mean, Indy and Louisville last year were really good teams. So that's a, you know, just based on that is going to be a tough group to be in right there to go anywhere.
Right. And Tom, Steve Trittschu's first year as head coach, he's going to have some tales to tell because originally, of course, he wasn't even signed up to be the head coach of this season. And then when he does come in, the season, you know, is put in the tank for quite a while. So it's got to be some type of, you know, magic act that he has got to go under to get these guys together and to get them ready for a season that's been interrupted for a few months and is going to have a different format.
It's got to be just kind of maddening for you. You put in the preseason stuff. Okay, the season started, and that's it. There you go. And it's, you know, baseball guys had a thing. Okay, they almost got through spring training, but they got that one game in, you know, and then it's done. So yeah, that's. I mean, in every sport, you know, 'cause I was talking with some hockey analytics guys, and they're saying, you know what? I mean, you can look at numbers all day long, but who knows? This is going to be a complete, you know, not necessarily a mess, but it's going to be chaotic, where no one knows what to expect going forward. What teams have the advantage? What teams don't? And so, yeah, maybe, you know, the coach maybe have a bigger impact on this season than another season. Well, it remains to be seen because it's just going to be, who knows what's going to be important going forward here.
Hey, Tom, can you hang out for a few minutes?
I think I can.
Well, it's time for Josh's Top 10, which is a segment everybody wants. No?
Let's keep talking to Tom.
Which would you rather do, Tom? Keep talking or listen to Josh's Top 10?
They'll be
Well,
the case for that.
you know what? I'd like to hear Josh's top 10.
So would I.
All right.
Yeah.
You can
I'll be here.
commentate.
Yeah. And then you could
be part of the peanut gallery just
you
like
can
us.
tell if you agree or not.
I'm going to go through them quickly because I'd like to hear more from Tom. But anyway, I'd put down, because Liverpool won the EPL this week, the 10 most influential players on their championship run, and Russell's going to check me here to see what his thoughts are. But real quickly, I put down at number 10, Divock Origi. I think that we've talked about with Liverpool's thin bench. They haven't had many options, but he's been a nice offensive guy off the bench for them. He's come up with a lot of important goals, and he's really developed, I think, since they bought him. So
Absolutely.
I think he's an important part of the team. Number 9, Joe Gomez. They've been looking for somebody to pair next to Van Dijk for a while now, and Matip's been hurt.
Yeah.
And they've had many other options. Gomez has been a nice addition. He's a really young player. 15 starts this season.
Solid.
He's looking pretty good. Number 8, some more familiar names. I got Andy Robertson, left back, 28 starts, 1 goal, 8 assists. Great going forward, but also solid in defense over there on that left side. He's had to go up against a lot of terrific players in the EPL.
Definitely a spark in that game against Crystal Palace the other day compared to the game against Everton.
Yep. Number 7, I've got Roberto Firmino, 29 starts, 8 goals, 7 assists. I think he does a lot of work that's taken for granted.
So I'm going to take. I would have put him higher.
You put him higher?
I think he's critical to them, to their success.
Hey, let's ask Tom Timmerman what he thinks. What do you think about that?
I think Serie A is looking really good.
Number 6.
Number 6, I have the captain, Jordan Henderson. Again, you know, he's not always going to be on the score sheet, but he does a lot of work in that middle three, defensive work, breaking up play, and of course, being the captain of this team, you have to have great leadership to win the title. And he obviously does that. All right, so my top 5. We'll see what Russell says. I've got Alisson at number 5, goalkeeper. I put him higher because when he was out injured and Adrian had to come in, we saw the severe dip in play at the
We
back.
saw less confidence in the back.
Correct. So I think that kind of just shows how valuable he is, that even though the defense is so good, if they get past the defense, he's there to stop all the shots. And he's been tremendous back there. Number 4, I have Sadio Mane, 15 goals, 7 assists. Basically, becoming a solid number 2 option behind Mo Salah. We talked about since his record-breaking season, teams were really keen on him. So they had to find other ways to score, and Mane's been terrific at that. Great speed, great technical ability, and he's been a wonderful partner for Salah. Number 3, my favorite Liverpool player, Trent Alexander-Arnold. 30 starts, 3 goals, and a team-leading 12 assists from the right back position. You don't see that often. You saw the tremendous free kick the other day against Crystal Palace. He's got all the abilities, and he's 21 years old still?
Young.
20 years old. Unbelievable.
And a Liverpoolian.
And a Liverpoolian, exactly. Number 2, Tom's favorite Liverpool player.
Yes.
Mo Salah.
Mo Salah.
Again, still scoring goals. Team leading 17 goals this season, 7 assists. I mean, he's acclimated quite well to Liverpool,
Had a
obviously.
slow start the season, but he caught on fire lately.
Exactly, and he's been able to stay relatively healthy, I think. Obviously, teams have been keen in on him. He's not a big guy, but he's found a way to stay on the field and produce goals. And number 1, we'll see if I get any argument, but I think Russell agrees with me. Virgil van Dijk, the reigning Premier League Player of the Year, started every match. Again, dependability. You have to avoid injury, and you have to be there in a championship-winning side. He's got 4 goals. He's been great on corners this year. 1 yellow card. I think that's just amazing.
And again, the comment about the game, the 4-0 win against Crystal Palace that came up from the Liverpool side was Crystal Palace had no touches inside the box.
Exactly.
No touches inside the box in the whole game.
Exactly. They've just completely been able to snuff out teams this year. I mean, we talked about this stat before. I think it's been put. Guys just couldn't get past them. And when you're trying to, you penetrate into the box and go through the middle.
Smart player too. I mean, he's lost half a step this season, I would say, but he's more than compensated for with his positioning most of the time.
Again, he's not always going to get the plaudits because obviously, goal scorers are going to get more pub, but he has been the stabilizing force back there. He's been the major difference.
In every sport, you win championship based on defense.
Okay. Not much resistance, I guess, from Russell then.
Only I would have put Firmino a little higher because he, to me, is the key of the whole offense. He's totally involved between the midfield and the front line. He's everywhere, and he's the key to me.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay, so what do you think, Tom? Is that the stuff you're missing on Sunday mornings on your AM radio?
It is the stuff I'm missing. Gosh. Yes. No. We got experts there, so in my opinion, yeah.
Well,
it's great to hear that. And you know what? I mean, let's all be happy for Liverpool. Let's be glad that they were able to finish the season and let Liverpool get, even with no fans present, get the honors that they deserve, and to actually win, to get the title that way.
Agreed. And also, we can stop hearing complaints from them about not winning the title now.
Well, there's that. I mean, it was sort of the ultimate irony back in March when the season stopped, and you thought, okay, no one else can stop Liverpool except for a virus.
Yeah.
So, pretty much. Fortunately, the season has continued and will be finished, but it is a wonderful thing to have that.
Well, all that stuff's great. All that stuff's great, but I want to get back to the part about where Tom's talking about how St. Louis needs an AM radio show about soccer on the air. Do you remember saying that earlier, or were you drinking, Tom?
We should get a petition or something.
No, it was 10:30. I don't drink that early. No.
That's a big mistake on your part. It's on my birthday. It's the perfect day.
It's a time zone issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Bar Louie has bottomless mimosas on Sunday.
There you go.
Well, I could be there in a few minutes. Well, let's see. No.
So.
No, I think there's. I mean, now I would say that because when I first turned on the show today, you guys were talking about baseball. So it's like, wait a second, I thought this was a soccer show. But that's what's always made this show what it is the, I don't even know if this is a word, eclecticism. That it covers a gamut of topics in a enjoyable and free liquor flowing kind of way.
Wow. Free liquor flowing kind of way.
Without
Ted,
liquor.
are you writing this down?
That's utterly ridiculous.
That is utterly. Oh, thank you. Hey, what have you been doing? Have you have been during this thing? Like, have you been? Have you stayed at home or what? What's going on in your life?
Yeah, I've stayed at home. I've had nowhere to go. Obviously the hockey season, which I normally cover, has been shut down, and so everything I have done, there's nowhere to go. So basically, all the stories I have written over the past 3.5 months have all been done on the phone. I go out and walk the dog, once or twice a day, and that's about it. I don't go anywhere. And I write stories. I'm writing stories on, oddball topics. I'm writing as we speak a story on table tennis. So the best. I've embarked on a series of stories on the best people in St. Louis in a wide amalgam of sports. So I've written about the best pool player, the best darts player, the best archer. Let's see. Last week was the best skier, Ainsley Prophet, very good skier, and this week I'm writing about the best table tennis players in St. Louis.
Tom, you talked about the scenario, so I want to get your opinion on it. Eventually, when sports do come back and hockey returns, although I won't be in St. Louis, baseball will return in St. Louis. We'll have St. Louis FC. What have you guys discussed potential scenarios of how you're going to cover these games? Will you have people go out and try to report, or will it be more so watching from home and writing that way? I'm interested to get your thoughts.
Yeah, it's going to vary by sport. For instance, the baseball guys will be able to go to the stadium. If there's no fans in Busch Stadium and they're playing there, there's plenty of places for people to sit.
Ding. Uh-oh. We got a score update.
Score update.
Watford 0, Southampton 1. Danny Ings has scored a goal in the 17th minute.
Cool. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. And all the interviews will be done remotely over, on Zoom or some other system. The NHL hasn't announced how they're going to handle it yet.
Right.
Whether they'll allow reporters inside the bubble in whatever cities they choose. It's going to be tricky because you're not going to get any face-to-face interviews. Everything you've done will be done there remotely. And if you go into the bubble, you're going to be there for as long as the team is. So either Jim Thomas or myself was looking at potentially 3 months in Edmonton or Las Vegas or something, which would be a lot to do. And it's not like you can have someone go and replace someone else because, if Jim was there and I was going to replace him, I'd have to go through 2 weeks of quarantine before I could go in.
Correct.
Jeez.
So, that becomes problematic too. So hockey this year, they might allow people in the building, but you would still have to do everything remotely. Until there is a vaccine or a really effective medical treatment, indoor sports are going to be awfully hard to have fans at, just because of the spreading capabilities. I mean, because even if you've got an empty place, if you have 20 reporters in the press box, that becomes a problem. How far can you spread out? Because air recirculates. That becomes a challenge. So it's indoor sports are going to be a tough time. The baseball guys are prepared. They will travel from city to city with the team. They should be able to be in the stands. They'll be able to watch the game. But the times when Blues have a practice, after practice, you go into the locker room and I can talk to 10 different guys to find out what's going on. That's not going to happen, and that's going to be a problem. I think because it's all the same stuff. Like the Blues do right now is they get a player and they have someone on the team talk. They don't even let us talk to him. It's the team asking the questions. Hopefully that changes at some point, but and you can't blame people for being concerned about you don't want to get somebody sick, but as far as how this works, it's still very much a work in process.
Tom, those of us that have been there when you covered an event know your signature hat. So when you do these things on Zoom, do you wear your hat?
I do not. I only wear the hat at soccer games. Is the thing. It's the soccer hat. It's the traditional soccer. I don't wear the hat at hockey games, and so I don't. So I haven't had to wear it online on Zoom calls or other things yet.
Do you have a go-to Zoom filter or Zoom background?
No, it's the back of my home office here upstairs at the palatial Timmerman residence.
Have you had any?
So
Have you had
there
any
usually
Zoom
see a fan
snap?
in the background?
Have you had any Zoom snafus? Pets, spouses,
Stages falling down, little things like that.
Well, the dog certainly knows when I'm beginning. This goes back. This story goes back to the 1999 Women's World Cup. It wasn't a Zoom call. It was a conference call. And at that point in time, my daughter was, 4 months old or whatever. And they had a conference call. There was some gap in the U.S. schedule. The U.S. women's team had a conference call. And they would go through the conference call and say, okay, the next 3 questions are from so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Let's turn on their phone lines. So as soon as they get to my turn and turn on my phone line, my daughter, my infant daughter, who's been sitting there quietly the whole time, now decides, I need more attention, and just starts screaming and yelling, crying at the top of her lungs. And I'm like trying to calm her down while I'm trying to ask a question and take notes, and it didn't work. I mean, drowned out everything that was said, whatever. And whoever was on after me said, I have a question for the baby. so my track record on this, well predates anything with Zoom. I approach these things with fear and trepidation.
That's classic.
Hey Tom, were you wearing your STL United FC shirt?
I am wearing it right now, Tom, in your honor for your
man.
birthday. I'm wearing my STL United FC.
I'm going to show you some guys that are wearing their STL United. If you look at your Facebook thing, you'll see some cats eventually. Look, do they show up? I can't tell.
Keep going.
Are we there yet?
You can see their bodies, but not their heads.
You can't see their shirts.
You can see the shirts, though.
Those
They got those pins right there.
Well, we can do this. There.
Yeah.
So that's your company today wearing your STL United shirt. Hey, it just occurred to me that if I could get you to come in and actually join us sometime, we could call George Vesey if this whole phone thing works.
We'll see how it's everything in life is on a day by day basis.
Amen, brother.
So
the patio is always open.
I approached it. You see, I wasn't looking at Facebook when I was on the phone, but now I got the better image there of the patio going there.
Oh yeah, it's enormous.
Yeah.
Tom, before we let you go, where can people go to find more of your material, to access the Post-Dispatch? What would you recommend to people?
The website is stltoday.com/sports if you want to just skip straight to the sports section. My Twitter feed is at Tom Tim TOMTIMM. That's where you can find me.
Well, we appreciate you calling in and, again, updating us on the situation. Obviously, the whole pandemic's put everything on a pause, but it's good to see certain aspects of the sports world come back, and hopefully soon we'll get a big old announcement, and then we can, put everybody's suggestions to bed eventually, and people can stop sending in their names.
No, I've had people say, if that's the name, I'm not going to any games. Like, you wouldn't go to the games because you didn't like Stars as a nickname?
People got some issues. Right. You know what I'm saying?
I care more about the players' names on those jerseys than I do about our name.
Yeah, I like soccer, but gosh, that name just didn't work for me. So.
Hey, and Tom, did we hire Mike Sorber yet?
No, not yet.
Get that done.
I have a number of things I'd like to ask you, but I don't want to get in trouble. So we're going to let you go, but think about joining us. But again, we'll see how this works because I want to. Obviously, this was part of our, the phone was part of our thing before. And if you would write that letter of recommendation to the station manager at KFNS 590 The Fan, that'd be awesome.
Give me an address.
I'll get it.
All right, guys.
All right, Tom. Thanks a lot, man.
Take care.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Happy birthday, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, we got 5 minutes.
That was pleasant.
All right, I got something real quick.
All right.
A friend of mine posted a story today about people getting a little down by looking at their social media too much. And this article called it doom scrolling. Where people searching for bad news, the doom, the gloom. So this is part of my therapy Seeing my buddies, playing some golf social distance wise this week was part of my therapy. Last year was a rough year for me, personally, mentally. I admit I was depressed. You guys saw it. I'm back. I'm enjoying life again.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Well, that's good news, Ted.
Good news, Ted.
That's an important thing to say too, I think. You know, I mean, I can say that your life was rough last week, the little bit or last year, the little bit I know, but to have a positive attitude, and agreed. I mean, this is all what we're doing. And if you're listening, and if you want to hear our radio show again, send a letter to KFNS. I don't think it'll matter, but do it. Make you feel good. All right. Last thoughts, Russell?
I got no score updates here.
You got no score updates?
Yeah. So Tango on. I mean, you're doing. We're doing this show. You're doing various other positive things. Doing a little bit of watching or listening to Tango music online, Malongas from various sources across the country. We're going to run one ourselves tonight, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Hearty congratulations.
So,
Great week, man.
It's been a good week.
You know what? I live my life through the joys of others just as easy as my own joy.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm a fan
So
of
that
these.
kind of stuff gives me goosebumps, man.
We're social animals. I mean, we have
Right.
to connect
And
with
I'm
each
telling
other.
you, I'm going to Australia or New Zealand
Absolutely.
to see World Cup. I've been talking about going to a Women's World Cup, and I've always wanted to see that part of the world, and I'm going.
Brilliant.
I would just say real quickly, again, remember, matches all throughout the week, folks. It does not end. There's not many off days, so if you
there's games from Monday to Thursday.
Right, if you turn on NBC Sports in the afternoon, chances are you're going to find yourself watching a match. So I would encourage people to check that out. And again, just want to wish you a happy birthday, Tom, and all
Thank
that you've
you.
done for not just for me, but for everybody else here. The big heart that you have. Also, I mean, all
What's
the work
left
that
of
you've
it.
done. Right, what's left of it. But again, just all the work, and you've been a mentor and a good friend for me as long as I've known you. So have a
thanks,
great day.
Josh.
Visionary, baby.
Have a great day, and glad that we can still do this.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
And I should join my voice. I appreciate the friendship we've developed over the years. Just from
Why are you
meeting-
smiling when you
meeting
say-
at
You're
the-
his best friend now. See?
meeting at the bar and sort of starting to chat about soccer, and it's been a great thing.
Thank you. I agree. It's been fun.
We're planning on celebrating more of your birthdays to come. So.
Birthdays were the worst days. Ed, you want to take us out here? You got anything to say?
Well,
or-
I will. I have my birthday coming up in less than 2 weeks. So
Too bad.
We're going to forget that.
Does it fall on a Sunday?
Hmm?
Does it fall on a Sunday?
Nope, on Thursday. So I will be after the fact when I'm here.
We'll still give you shit.
Hey, Russell.
You have been listening to STL United Soccer Sunday here from the patio. Enjoy the beautiful game.
Bye-bye.